Kimberly is still screaming. TJ is still trying to communicate with her in words, and she just continues to scream, literally. And I'm just like, okay, Kimberly, I'm gonna need you to start using verbiage, like actual language words. Okay? What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with yet another recap for 90 Day Fiancé. This is The Other Way, Season 5. Hopefully today my camera decides it actually wants to do what it needs to do, which is actually record, because I've been having a lot of issues lately. But we're gonna dive into what's been going on with these couples as of late, and there's been quite a lot. So first off, we have TJ and Kimberly. I mentioned in the other video that they're now officially married, but the problem that I had with TJ is the fact that he wasn't really doing much with regards to telling Kimberly what she was expected to do as a wife of an Indian man in India. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what is she now expected to do now that she's living in India with you? It's like, what do you and your family expect of her? And he didn't really do a good job with telling her that and communicating that to her. He waited until after, and even Kimberly made mention of it. She was like, why wouldn't you just tell me beforehand, like, what it was? You know what I mean? Like, tell me what it is, you know? Tell me exactly what I'm going to be walking into. Don't just blindside me. So I really felt for her in that moment, because it was definitely a culture shock for her, even though I think she's been to India maybe once or twice to visit TJ before they got married. But even still, it's just kind of like, it's different when you're actually now living there and not just visiting. So there was definitely a big issue, particularly during the scene when Kimberly was in the kitchen trying to cook with her now mother-in-law. And let's just say culturally, there was a lot going on. Okay, so I think in India, or at least maybe in that part of India, I don't know, but they bring in, I think it's cow dung, basically like poop. They bring it into the kitchen and other parts of the house to kind of bless the home or something like that. I don't know if they do that every time they cook, or if it's specifically after you get married and it's the first time you're cooking after you get married. I don't know. Okay, I really have no idea. I just know cows are seen as, you know, spiritual beings. I'm guessing their, you know, productions are also seen as something of a blessing as well. So they use that, and Kimberly was looking at it like, what is going on? They set it on fire, I think, and they like just have it smoking through the house. I don't know. But it was really like, okay, what is going on? So she called TJ and she was like, yeah, you can't just like bring cow dung into the house and we about to cook food. You know what I mean? It's a little unsanitary. Don't get me wrong. I love to obviously respect other people's traditions, other countries' traditions. But yeah, that is kind of like a health hazard. Okay. Like if somebody gets sick, everybody gets sick, you know, it's just kind of like, you could look at that as being the perpetrator. You know what I mean? So I'm surprised that TJ had actually said something, because I think his mom, Kimberly's mother-in-law, was using the same, I guess, dish rag or some type of rag or something to clean the cow dung off the table. She used it to clean the dishes or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, So yeah, I was definitely questioning a lot that was going on. So I don't blame Kimberly. It was very interesting that TJ just kind of left her to her own devices. Kimberly was just there like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? So I did not like that he really just waited until the very last minute. Well, not even last minute. He never told her anything about what she was going to have to do as a wife until after they got married and she became a wife. So it was just kind of like, okay. But yeah, that was very questionable. And it looks as though in the next upcoming episodes that they're still arguing with each other. Kimberly, I think, said that she was depressed and feeling kind of sad. Obviously, you're living in another country. You don't really go out. You're not really making friends. It's going to be very difficult. I think it's different when you obviously have managed to form another family or another extension of friends, you know, a community around you where it's like easier, but it's definitely difficult when, number one, you don't speak the language, still probably learning, and number two, in terms of you actually being able to go places, you're still learning the territory. You know what I mean? It's like you don't really, you're not from there. It's definitely a lot. But the thing is, Kimberly is still screaming. EJ is still trying to communicate with her in words, and she just continues to scream, literally. And I'm just like, okay, Kimberly, I'm gonna need you to start using verbiage, like actual language words. Okay, we're learning, we're getting there. Okay, now Brandon and Mary, I mentioned that Brandon's mom came over because they were getting married and she was coming over for the wedding and whatnot, but it looks as though Brandon and Mary are still having issues, and obviously Brandon's mom sees that. She's not delusional. She definitely is very much so adamant about them figuring out their ish. I think all of us can agree they need to figure out their ish, considering they're having a child now. Okay, not only are they struggling to find money, but they're having a child. They're still trying to figure out how to even handle bills for themselves, let alone another person in the household. And on top of that, you're paying for a wedding. So they have a lot going on. I think it was maybe the night before the wedding that everything just kind of went to hell a little bit. And Mary and Brandon were having a fight or an argument with each other. It's with regards to Brandon not really pitching in. Obviously, she's pregnant and she's now trying to handle everything by herself, pretty much, it feels, at least from her perspective. So Mary is definitely still struggling with regards to if she wants to really get married. But regardless, they end up at the wedding. They get married in the Philippines. The wedding gets crashed by a bunch of bugs. So that's pretty much all that I see so far. It doesn't really seem like there was too much going on within these last couple of episodes with those two. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to heat up again because you don't really get rid of those issues like financial and, you know, your partner not really pitching in just like that, like overnight. You know, after you get married, your problems don't just disappear. They probably sometimes even get worse. Okay. So they're definitely probably going to, in the next couple of episodes, have to really sit down and chat about a lot of these issues that they're having. Danielle and Johan. There's been a lot more developments with regards to these two. In the last video, I mentioned something about Danielle finding out something about Johan that she said was disgusting, quote unquote. And we find out that Johan was actually taking money from Danielle's account. I guess it was like little bits of money here and there. I think he said it was like 40 something dollars or like 200 pesos or something like that. In the DR, I think they use pesos. He just thought, I guess, that because they're married and he is her husband, that he could just take money out and not really have to explain anything to Danielle. If he needs it, you know, he could use it. However, what made it weird is that Danielle had said that she had spoken to him about it because she saw a couple of different transactions. And she was like, okay, well, I know I'm not taking the money out, so who's taking the money out? And Johan is like, oh, I'm not taking the money out. And I'm like, why would you lie? If you feel as though because you guys are married, like he said, if you feel as though because you guys are married that you should be able to just take money out because you're her husband, why would you lie about taking the money out? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I would have been like, yeah, I took the money. Why? You know what I mean? Like, is there a problem? I wouldn't have said, oh, I didn't take it out. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I wouldn't deny it because then that's weird. It makes it seem as though you are stealing, like you're being untruthful. So, of course, Danielle in that aspect is kind of rightfully so mad. You know, I would be angry as well because it's like, why are you lying? I could clearly see you took the money out. She even said that she actually got access to the bank's ATM camera and you could see that he's the one taking the money out. So it's just like, how could you still deny that? So they're having a lot of issues with regards to finances. Johan's still not working. She's just getting on him about not having a job, not being able to contribute to anything. And I think it's around like the Christmas time when they actually have like a gift drive or something like that. They give gifts out to the children in the area, which I think is really nice and a cool idea. But the thing is, they have another argument right before they're about to give the gifts away, and it's really, really heated. And Johan just decides, you know what, after we're done with these gifts, I'm leaving. I'm done. I can't deal with you no more. But the thing is, I think they both need to be done with each other. I don't think it's just Johan that needs to leave. I think Danielle needs to be done for sure with Johan as well, because I don't really think they knew what they were getting themselves into. And And on top of that, Danielle kind of started their relationship off on a lie because she had kind of made it seem as though she was going to be taking Johan to the US. That never happened. You know, it's just kind of like, both of y'all are kind of in the wrong here. And then Johan was like, oh, because you're not taking me to the US, you're going to have to be the one to pay all the bills. I'm not getting a job. You should take care of me. And I'm just like, not on that boat either. You know, basically when Johan and Danielle get home after giving out the gifts to all the kids, he leaves, he takes off his Santa suit and he's packing up his stuff. And Danielle makes a big deal about him taking all the clothes out of the closet. She's like, oh, you can't take the clothes that I bought for you. And I'm like, okay, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand. And then she was like, well, you make it seem as though I don't do anything for you, so you shouldn't be able to take what I get for you. Right? And I was like, okay, I get it, but that's really petty. And to respond to that, he goes and takes the dog that he purchased for Danielle. And I'm like, oh no, this is getting really, really bad really fast. Like super, super petty. And she loses it. She starts crying. She's like, you're not gonna take my dog. And I'm just like, well, you kind of started it by telling him he can't take the clothes that you bought for him. He bought the dog, so he could take the dog, I guess, in the same sense that he can't take the clothes that you bought. I just think that's kind of fair, as petty as it sounds, but it's like she started it, you know? He wouldn't have taken the dog if you just let him take the clothes. But yeah, it's just a really bad situation that goes from bad to worse really fast. And Danielle, she tells everybody to just leave her alone. And you could tell the relationship just needs to be over and done with, honestly. It's crashing and burning. I thought they were done from like the last season of, was it 90 Day Fiancé again? Jeez, I be getting so mixed up with all these spin-offs. I don't know. But they were in another show right before this. And during the reunion, they were basically saying, well, Johan was saying that he was done with Danielle. And I'm just like, okay. And then I see them in this season and they're still going at it, still trying to work through their problems. And I'm like, I thought you said you were done. I'm really confused. I just think it's a hot mess of a relationship and marriage. They just need to end it. Now, Holly and Wayne, there wasn't really too much going on with them. However, they are reaching an impasse very quickly. It's kind of sad considering that they haven't really been together in terms of married anyway. They haven't really been married that long yet. And it's mainly because Holly's kind of frustrated with being in South Africa. She's by herself. She doesn't really have anyone to hang out with besides Wayne's sister, but she doesn't really live close to them. She's pretty far away, so she doesn't really get to see her that often. And Wayne also said to Holly that she can't really go out that much, especially after dark, because it's dangerous. And I'm like, okay, but what is she supposed to do then? Considering that you have to go to work sometimes really early in the morning until really late at night. And on top of that, she's at home and they have the load shedding or load sharing. I forgot what to call it. But pretty much when certain areas don't have electricity and other areas do, so that everybody could have electricity a certain amount of hours every day. Something like that, right? And I'm like, you know, what is she supposed to do? No electricity in the house. She's sitting at home in the dark without you, without anybody to talk to, no family, no friends. You know, it's just kind of like, I can understand why she's frustrated. But there was one particular night when Wayne came home super late and I guess Holly kind of loses it. She's sitting in the dark and she's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm ready to go home. And Wayne's just like, I just got home. You could just turn on the generators. It's not that deep. You need to calm down. And she's just like, no, you don't understand. It's been weeks that this has been going on. And I just want to go back to America. That's it. Like, it just comes out. She's like, I want to go back home. I'm tired of being here. And Wayne's just like, well, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our marriage? Because, like, it's going to take a minute for me to get my visa to just go to America. I can't just get on a plane with you and go over there. You know what I mean? Even though we're married, you still have to file a spousal visa and all this other stuff. And then he has to get a green card to work. So I don't really think she's thinking all that clearly in terms of what her leaving and going back to America right now at this moment would mean for their relationship. So he has that conversation with his dad and his dad's just like, y'all gonna have to work this out because like he mentioned, you got to deal with all these other things in order for you to even get over to the country and be able to live there instead. So I don't really think she thought that through. I think she was just really frustrated at that moment and had it up to here. Yeah, it's just something that I think they need to chat about a little bit more. A little bit worried for them But we're going to move on to Kenny and Armando. Now, they are going ahead with their surrogacy journey in Mexico. I think they found a surrogate, and she, I believe, already has kids of her own as well. They're now doing their little, donations, quote unquote, at the clinic. It's hella awkward. I'm not even gonna lie. They have to obviously do the donations so that they could have, the embryos. And that's pretty much everything. I really haven't been seeing much with regards to them. In terms of any arguments, the only thing they really even argued about this entire season is going ahead with actually having kids. So I guess they kind of resolved that and don't really have much else to their story at the moment. But we're gonna move on to Sara and Shaka. Yeah, because there has been a lot going on with them. I did a whole video dedicated to them and their story. If you guys want to check that out in the corner here, I'll link it for you. Okay, you can just click it. Now, Sara and Shaka, we left off with Shakina's sister leaving Turkey in not the best of moods with regards to Sara and Shakina's relationship. She feels like Sara is definitely hiding some things from Shakina and that he is not really the person for her sister, obviously. But she's just like, you know what? I'm just going to let Shakina work on whatever she needs to work on in this relationship. If she wants to leave, stay in it, that's on her, right? So sister leaves, and now Shakina is kind of looking at Sara like, okay, I thought you said you were going to post the picture her sister took of them when she was still there. I thought you were going to post it on your social media, finally. But he's still avoiding it. He's still saying, oh, I don't really want to post it right now. Now is not a good time. And it's still, again, it looks as though, like her sister said, that he is hiding something, okay? But it's getting even worse, okay? The social media thing is just kind of the tip of the iceberg with this couple. So Shakina finally meets Sara's siblings. That kind of leads to some more conflict between them, as if they didn't already have enough. But the conversation leads into having children, and Shakina's looking at Sara like, okay, we already discussed this. You already know that I don't want kids. I don't want any more kids. I have a daughter, and that's all I want. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of you having kids, you said you didn't want any, so I don't know what's happening. Like, why are you saying to me that you all of a sudden want children? And he's saying that because he's the only child, he definitely wants to have kids. So you can kind of feel as though he's passing his family lineage on, which is kind of why I definitely suggest when people have kids, if they can, definitely have more than one because I feel like when you're the only child, there's so much pressure on you to, obviously have children, have the grandkids. You got to make sure you're successful. You got to make sure you do this. And there's just so much on your shoulders. So I just think it's really, really unfair because you're the only child, But yeah, it's too much. But in terms of Sara's case, he definitely wants to have children. We find out he actually had a son. He had a whole son when he was younger with this Russian woman, I think he said. But apparently the Russian woman came into the relationship, or the hookup, I guess, with the intentions of having a child, but he didn't know that. But she ends up getting pregnant, emails him, says that he has a son, and he's just like, well, what do I do with this information? Because I don't want to be a dad. And he said he just kind of lost it, deleted the email address. So he had no way of communicating with her anymore. And he hasn't been able to locate her since. He has not been able to see that son. And it's really sad. But at the same time, it was just kind of like, you kind of did that though, Sara, to yourself. But I think he could find like a investigator or somebody, But the thing is, I think he said he doesn't really remember her name, like her first name and last name. So yeah, that would have been useful information if he did choose to go down that route. So now that Sara kind of feels the pressure of having grandchildren for his parents, he starts putting that pressure off on Shakina and basically saying that, you should kind of, I guess, have some, what's the word? You should be able to bend a little bit. You should be able to have like a give and take with me. Just at least consider what it is that I want, since I've considered everything that you want. And I'm like, having a child is a pretty big deal, Sara. It's a lot bigger than you not wanting to post on social media and you not wanting to do the little things that Shakina is asking of you, It's a little different. Just a little bit. Now they're reaching this impasse in their relationship and Sara is not bending. He's like, you know what? If you're not going to consider this, having this child with me, then we're done. And Shakina's like, okay, are you sure? That's not really exactly how the conversation went, but that's pretty much what I got from it. He just keeps pushing and pushing. And at the end, you could see that Shakina is just kind of tapped out. She's like, you know what? I'm going to leave. he's just looking at her like, are you sure you're gonna leave? If you do leave, I'm done with this relationship. And Shekinah's like, okay, I kind of want to be at this point if you're gonna keep doing this. Shekinah is packing up her stuff at the end of that episode that I saw, and she is basically heading to a hotel, and then after that she's gonna be going back to the US. She has had it, and I don't really know if they're just gonna have like a back and forth relationship, but at the same time it's just like, you already know what you want and he also knows what he wants, so I don't really see the point of continuing. But that's pretty much all that I have on these couples as of right now. I'm probably gonna wait another couple of episodes before I come back, and I'm not sure how many episodes we have left until the tell-all, but I usually like to do a video per episode of the tell-all, but I might just combine it depending on how long it is. But you guys let me know what you have been thinking about these last couple of episodes down in the comments. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.